All right, so welcome back. Today we are going to take a look at Clorox and we're going to see how the stock is doing. I'm going to give you some insight here after the earnings. Keep in mind it's not a recommendation to buy, sell, or trade anything, but you can get my opinion and insight on the Discord channel. Sign up to the newsletter list so that way you get announcements as well. And let's check things out with Clorox. All right, so as we go in and go and check out Clorox here, we just recently had some news here. So stocks kind of, consumer sector update, Clorox, Amazon, Clorox stock declines as rising costs erode profitability. So whatever the reason is, they say rising costs, supply chain and that kind of thing could rise on the cost, but also it could be that people are buying less Clorox and maybe less panicked or feel fearful, or maybe the stock is overextended, right? The news will always try to tie one thing to another. Usually it's multiple things. It's this thing, could be panic, could be that people are less worried about the virus or cleaning less, they're just tired of it. So there's many things that could actually be going on underneath the surface. So when you look at kind of the 5-year chart, you can see the stock, exploded right here at that time. Everybody wanted Clorox. Now we're pulling back and now we're really tanking, right? So we were pulling back already, after the initial peak of the virus and paranoia of the mega craze, right? Shall we say, the euphoria of I want Clorox. Now there's less euphoria, or they got other cleaning products, or people got vaccinated, or whatever the case is. As I said, there's many things that go with it, not just one thing. So as we look at Clorox here and we check out the chart, let's just break some things down. Let's look at the longer term chart here. So overall, Clorox has still been moving really, really well, right? If you look at from 2010 to now, we've been kind of going on this trend line, and this trend line has been fairly stable. You look at this kind of support in this area, you look at kind of this area, and then at that point, but now we're breaking this. So this is actually a big problem, and this creates a lot of selling pressure. Now we were a bit overextended there, so it's possible we'll get overextended and then maybe get back into get overextended here, maybe get back above that trend line. It's quite possible, but we just don't know yet. I don't think this is kind of a buying opportunity or anything at this point. You have to wait to see how things go, because it could actually set up a newer trend line, something a bit slower, because maybe the craze is less, more done. And here you have a longer term trend line that the support could be there. So here we got onto an accelerated path. So we could come back down to this level and work this trend line level then. And that could be a fairly significant drop, but that's looking at a longer term time frame, right? This is a 20-year time horizon. So not everybody's really hanging out and investing in Clorox for that time frame. I'm just saying, like, hey, if you're really looking at a long term, you're putting it into a fund that you're just willing to die with Clorox, then that's kind of another trend line that you're looking at. But if we're looking at kind of the weekly time frame here right now, this is really not looking good from breaking this really significant long-term trend line, because you had a lot of things happen where people stepped up here in 2020. It just skyrocketed the stock, right? Everybody wanted Clorox. I got to clean everything, and then we got maybe a little too euphoric. So we started to pull back into this channel, and the stock just kind of moved in this way. So now we're breaking down this. And that's not good, because you've got a lot of huge selling pressure that's really going into this stock, and that can continue because now you could have shorts piling in and so on. So looking at more of the shorter term, here's kind of the daily price action. Usually you'll want to wait 3 to 5 days on earnings to kind of digest before getting in it. Yes, you could nibble, but you would only nibble if the longer term trend line was intact. Right now, the longer term trend line is not intact. It's actually breaking. So because this is breaking, I wouldn't really think about nibbling yet. If I had a longer term trend line, like right here at these support levels where this was starting to come into that and trying to hold, that could be maybe a nibbling opportunity. But right now, this longer term trend line is actually breaking, and that's not a good thing. But maybe somewhere around 112, 113, that could be a trend line that you could watch for a really solid support at that point. There's other trend lines, of course, as we get into it, like the 150, but unfortunately, this stock's already down 23 points and we are at 141. So that 150 trend line and support is already breaking. And that's a critical point because we've got a few levels there. So as I zoom into those, let's just draw them out. Right here, I have one here and I have another one kind of at this level. So I've got 115, and then we zoom in, and let's go to, yeah, it's pretty close enough with a zoomed in view. You can see that right there, we're breaking this level right here. There, let's just match it up a little more. We're breaking that 140 level, what is it, 145 level. And if we come back into about 115, that's another level to watch. So we're breaking a handful of trend lines here. And that's where a little bit of the issues lie here, is that there's multiple breaks at multiple time frames. And this is where I wouldn't really get into that stock immediately. I'd wait to see if we can hold about 110. But even then, in that case, you're going to say, okay, well, let's look at the monthly. That, 110, 115 level, you're going to watch to see if it bounces there. And that's what you would want to watch for and kind of wait, because then you're looking at it from a longer term perspective. From that longer term perspective, that would be more of a buy opportunity. Shorter term perspective, I would be careful. Longer term perspective, also wait for that to kind of come into that level. So this stock is kind of more of a shorting opportunity on bounces. And this is exactly what you had here. This stock bounced right here, a lot lighter volume, and you had this reject and roll over. So any kind of bounce right now, like let's say we get a bounce here, it'd probably be a shorting opportunity for the time being till you see more volume come in and some more digestion. Simply because what you're going to have is this inner trend line going this way. You'll have a bounce. It'll come here, it'll start rejecting maybe, and that's where some of the issues could be. So anyway, those are the things to watch, some of the technical levels, and some of the setups to watch out for. And then you can kind of make a trading decision depending on your personal risk style, trading strategies, knowledge, and of course the duration that you want to hold it. If it's like a 3-year hold, 5-year hold, 10-year hold, 20-year hold, you're trading it differently than somebody who's planning to hold it for a couple of days or something like that. So always look at your time frame, because that matters much more, because you'll position a little differently. If you're trying to trade it for the next 3 to 5 years, you might nibble a few shares today. You might nibble a few more shares like in a couple of weeks. But other than that, the stock is still a little bit weak right now, as we keep pulling back, because just the longer term trends and a lot of other trends are breaking down. So be careful, watch out. And if you want to get some more insight, check out the Discord channel, sign up to the newsletter list on the Traders Fly website. And you can also learn more about options there as well. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.